Living, breathing, and flourishing sentinels of our land, thousands of mature trees endure their watch over forests and fields, in our parks, along our streets, and our backyards. They produce oxygen, reduce flooding and erosion, help to purify our water and cool our climate, and they provide relief from the stresses of hectic modern-day life. Above all that, trees play an enormous role in our sense of place. They help us to make our private and public spaces more unique and authentic. They're more than just landmarks on a map. Mature trees can help us to orient ourselves in history. As silent witness to hundreds of years of passing time, mature trees are part of a rich heritage that's passed down from generation to generation. Much like the buildings and monuments upon which they've cast their cool shadows over the centuries, the heritage trees of Chatham-Kent help us to better understand who we are, where we are, and even when we are. Whether lighthearted or somber, many of us have a story to tell about a tree. Stories about families, friends, events and places long gone. And when imbued with the humanity of those stories, the gnarled trunks and green branches of the tree bring our heritage to life, while simultaneously weaving it into a broader history and marking our place within it. Together with their partner Scribendi, the Chatham Sunrise Rotary Club, the Community Futures Development Corporation, the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority is excited to bring you the new Heritage Trees project for Chatham-Kent. We will be producing a map and marking the locations of dozens of these heritage trees, installing custom plaques, and producing this film so that you can learn about some of the more storied trees within the municipality. Like rivers flowing upwards, these uncanny organisms that do so much for us in the way of environmental services continue to inspire wonder and awe. They are living, breathing relics of our history, not preserved behind glass, but standing out in the open, ready to inspire those who are willing to look, to touch, and to listen.
Beech trees have thick leaves. They provide an incredible amount of shade. It's mostly trunk until you get up near the top, and it's just like a giant circle. It's just a stunning array. You could get lost staring at that tree. You really could. Trees are not only a part of our society and important, they're a part of our heritage. I love these guys, and as far as I'm concerned, any tree that anybody can plant anywhere in Chatham-Kent is going to be a bonus for everyone.
In 1937, King George VI had him gather some acorns from the royal gardens at the Windsor Castle. He had them sent over to the rural schools across Ontario. He wanted them to plant those seeds, or those acorns, to commemorate his royal visit of 1939. But anyways, Aunt Grace got that acorn in 1937, and in 1938, May 31st, they planted that right here. Our family's always been messing around with trees, you know, like the tree's been in our life ever since I've been a little guy. I remember when I was just a youngster, my dad would take a branch off of an apple tree, and he'd graft that onto a pear tree, and a year or so later we'd have pear and apple off the same darn tree. You know, when I think about it, I think that's probably how my Aunt Grace ended up with this seedling, or these acorns to plant, because of the Smiths just being handy at planting trees, I guess. And
hello, my name is Ken Bell, and I'm standing on the McKinley line in front of this giant sycamore. This is an American sycamore, Planus occidentalis, also known as a buttonwood tree. And this particular tree is approximately 273 years old. These sycamores, as you can see, the bark looks a lot like camouflage, and that's because pieces of the bark slough off. And as it does so, the pieces that are remaining, they go darker and darker over time. And so that's very distinctive. It has giant leaves, very large maple-like leaves, and they'll continue to grow throughout the summer until finally they're about this big. So when this tree started its life, this was a primordial forest. It was an old-growth forest, and there would have been a lot of trees that size or even larger. And as I said, these trees tend to be hollow. They tend to, after about 200 years, they tend to rot in the center. And people over the years have used them for things like smoking meat, or use them for grain storage. There's even a testimony of 2 people using it as a home in Tennessee, and also people using it as a livery stable for their animals. This particular type of tree, that is a sycamore, has been around for about 100 million years, so that would be the early to mid-Cretaceous. So dinosaurs would have been munching on these. In fact, there's some even in the fossil record that they have found in the middle United States. So this tree's been around for a long time, very much like the ginkgo tree. It's a very old species, old variety, and it's very successful. It can tolerate some drought, but it really prefers low floodplains. This tree, you'll find them on floodplains around rivers, sometimes lake floodplains, but they really prefer river floodplains. So you'll see 1 or 2 large trees, and then you'll see a whole grove of smaller sycamore trees. But you'll see them along the Thames River. If anybody's paddling or boating along the Thames River, this will be a very common sight. There will be white bark with green patches, looks like camouflage, and you'll see that along the Thames River at Moravian Town, even the east and west of Chatham. What inspires me about this particular tree, or about trees in general, is the fact that they are old and large. They represent something beyond my own life. That is, I can plant a tree, or I can see a tree. I've known trees that were large when I was very young, and they're still large today. And long after I'm gone, they'll be large and they'll be just fruiting. And so they represent a larger perspective of time. And they also represent a larger perspective of space. This is a huge organism.
I just enjoy walking in areas, arboretums, or our own property here, looking at trees, seeing them come to life in the spring, flowering, bringing along birds, listening to the birds.
And it extends in the ground just as far as it does up into the branches. So if you can imagine, all of this that you're seeing here is all under us here as well. So the magnitude in time and space of this organism, and the fact that it's been around for 100 million years, more or less unchanged, to me is highly inspiring. There's been mountain ranges that have formed and have been completely eroded away in that time. And this species has lasted in that time. So to me, that represents a real triumph. That is, that life triumphs over geology. And to me, that's inspiring.
I also think that it's ingrained in our DNA, because we have been people of forests for as long as we've been around. We didn't develop in deserts because there wasn't that much to eat there. I think that we probably have lived in forests for a long time.
You don't take things down willy-nilly. You should protect them and cherish them. As I say, if you look around this neighborhood, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees, and without them, this street would be a desert. It really would.
They tell a story. They live through droughts and tornadoes, and their roots are embedded deep in the earth, and their branches reach up high into the sky.
I think for the fact that they're there, so that it's a confidence thing that it's like buildings that we see day after day. Trees are there.
My son has helped plant trees with me, and long after I'm gone, he's going to know that those trees are there.
We live in an area of Canada that is known for the Carolinian trees.
The trees grow along with the family, along with the village, the town or the city, and the society. They're a part of it. They're a silent part, but trees are a part of our lives in so many ways.
Trees are natural filters. They keep us healthy. They calm us.
Wooden furniture, decks.
I think that the world of trees is fascinating because of all the different species.
Firewood, campfires.
We get food from trees. We get shade from trees.
Just strong growth, shade.
I think we all know the health benefits of trees.
Windbreaks. They offer so much, and most of it, they can't speak for themselves, but most of it, you have to stop and think about it before you come to understand just how marvelous these things are.
It's just a pleasant atmosphere to be among trees. I love it.